In peacetime, craftsmen build civilization. In war, they help defend it. During the Civil War, Union and Confederate forces became locked in a technological arms race that would prove to do both. It started when Union forces failed to fully destroy one of its own ships, the Merrimack, and it fell into Confederate hands. The Confederates salvaged her partially scuttled wood and refurbished the frigate as an ironclad warship. Arming her with a battery of deck guns behind 4 inches of iron plate, they renamed the ship the Virginia. In response, the Union rushed to build its own ironclad warship. After soliciting concepts from multiple designers, they chose the work of Swedish naval architect John Ericsson. Ericsson's exceptional design for what was to become the USS Monitor called for a heavy revolving gun turret. The turret was made of 8 layers of 1-inch iron plate bolted together, with a 9th plate inside the turret acting as a sound shield. It would be powered by steam-driven donkey engines, the common nickname for steam-powered winches, making the turret capable of rotating a full 360 degrees. At 172 feet long, she was barely half the size of the Confederate warship. Yet, unlike the Virginia, the Monitor was made entirely of riveted iron plate. By January 1862, Boilermakers and other craftsmen had finished constructing this new kind of warship, and the USS Monitor was launched along with a new frightening brand of war on water. Her crew was as diverse as America itself. Freed slaves, English, Irish, Danish, and Scottish immigrants, and at least one Welshman, Robert Williams, a Boilermaker. At 5'9", he stood out among his shorter crewmates. Williams signed on as a fireman, toiling in the smoky bowels of the Monitor, keeping the fire hot and steam engine powered when the Monitor met the Virginia in battle on March 9, 1862. On her first day in action, the Virginia sank one Union frigate and burned another, then withdrew at dusk. But before she could return the next morning to finish off the remaining ships, the Monitor slipped into the harbor under cover of darkness. Next morning, the sun rose on a new style of naval warfare. History's first clash between iron ships ended in a draw at noon. The battle lasted just 4 hours, but in those 4 hours, naval warfare changed forever. In May, just 2 months after the battle, the Virginia was destroyed to keep her out of Union hands. 6 months later, on New Year's Eve, the Monitor, its design more suited for rivers than oceans, foundered in heavy seas and sank off the coast of North Carolina. 16 of her 62 crewmen drowned, including the Boilermaker Robert Williams. Williams' life ended that day in the watery grave of the Monitor, but more than 150 years later, his story has yet to be completely told. For almost 150 years, the Monitor slowly rusted away at the bottom of the sea. Then beginning in 1998, U.S. Navy divers and NOAA began salvaging numerous artifacts from the wrecked ship. Among them, the Monitor steam engine and Ericsson's revolutionary rotating turret. Inside the turret archaeologists found 2 sets of human remains. It appears that the men were the last to attempt to leave the ship, quite possibly from the boiler room. There, the men would have kept up steam so that the Monitor could continue moving through the heavy seas, and to give their crewmates time to escape. Forensic scientists have determined that both sets of remains are from men of European descent. One was young, maybe 20, and short in stature. The other was close to 30, though his bones bore an unusual amount of wear for such an age, likely from years of toil and hard labor. And he was tall for his time, almost 5'9". There are many questions still surrounding the Monitor. What are the identities of the 2 men whose remains were recovered from the turret? Could one of them be Boilermaker Robert Williams? As a Boilermaker, did Williams not only serve on the Monitor, but also help build it? Along with his seafaring skills, did Williams also use his Boilermaker craftsmanship while serving on the ship? The answers to these questions may never be known. What is known is that Williams is among the thousands of Boilermakers who are faceless as individuals to us today, but whose collective craftsmanship helped usher in the modern age of shipbuilding.